Section 1.2, homework problem number 1. So let's look at my example. You have bundles of toothpicks like the ones shown in the figure. So let's take a look at the figure here. We have, and notice that we have some individual ones, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 individual ones, 4 ones. And this bundle is a bundle of 10. So we have 1 tens. And then we have this bigger bundle, it's 100. So we have 2 hundreds. And notice that each toothpick can represent any number we want. So if we say normally when we see a toothpick, we think it represents the whole number 1, but it doesn't have to be, because a toothpick, maybe if we think of the value of the toothpick, it could be 0.1, like 1 dime, or maybe 0.01, which is 1 penny. So the number, what number does object represent? Really, it's up to us. Okay, so the drawing, if they just give us the drawing or just give us the real objects, the drawing can represent many different numbers. So different from section 1.1, we only consider whole numbers, well, counting numbers. We didn't have any decimals. So that's why, okay, so this will represent, because 1 toothpick stands for the number 1. So when you have 10 of them, that's number 10, and 100 of them, and then will be 100. So put them together, that's going to be 214. But if we change the value of what 1 toothpick represents, so for example, it's not 1, it's 0.1. So in that case, each of these individual ones represents 0.1. So you have 0.1, 0.1, and 0.1, and a 0.1. All together, adding together, you're going to get 0.4. And when we have 10 of these, we're going to get, well, by the way, we don't have 0.10 again. So whenever you have 10 of these, you're going to bundle them up, and then you're going to make, so if each toothpick represents 1/10, and 1/10 not going to be 1 anymore. So you have 4/10, which is 0.4. But if you have 10 of these, and we know if you have 0.1 plus 0.1 plus 0.1, if we have 10 of these, that's going to make a 1. Okay, not going to be 0.10. Because every 10, by the place value, every 10 of them, it's going to be moved up to the next place. So this right here actually represents 1, 1. And then when you have 10 of the ones, it's going to become a 10. So when we have 10 of these, so this is a 10 and this is a 10. Together we have 2 10s. So when we have 2 10s, just mark 2 10s, that's 20, and plus 1 1 plus 4 tenths. So that gives us 2 10s plus 1 plus 0.4, which is 4 tenths. Together is 21.4. So that's why in my explanation here, if 1 toothpick represents 0.1, 10 of them will represent 1, and 100 of them will represent 10. So the drawing will represent 21.4. And now we can, again, so this time I'm choosing 0.1 for 1 toothpick, but we could say 1 toothpick represents 0.01. So in that case, all of this will change. The number of toothpicks won't change, but the value changes. So we're going to have 4 toothpicks, but because each of them is 0.01, 4 of them will give us 0.04. And 10 of them, because this is 400ths, because each one represents 0.01 or 100th. So 4 of them, which we give the 400ths. And then 10 of them will move up to the next place value, which is the 10th. So we have 1/10. And then 10 of them will move up to the next place value. Maybe I can put the place value here for your reference. So to the left of the decimal point, it's ones, tens, and hundreds. To the right of the decimal point, we have the tenths, because it's 1/10 of 1. And then we have hundredth, and then we have thousandths. All right, so now each toothpick represents 100th. So 10 of them will be 1/10. So here we have 1/10. And 10 of the tenths will make the next place value, which is the ones. So here we have 2 ones and 1/10, and then plus 400ths. So together you're going to have 2 plus 0, 1.1.0.04. That gives us 2.14. So that's why we get this answer. Again, we can also change the value one more time. Instead of representing each toothpick representing 0.01, we can make it represent 0.001, which is 1/1000th. So 4 of them will give us 4/1000ths. And when we have 10 of these, because that's a bundle of 10, when we have 10 of these, so this is the value of one toothpick. When we have 10 of these, I'm sorry, here 1/1000ths. We have 10 of the 1/1000ths, and it's going to become 100th. So we have 100th. When we have 10 of the 100th, it's going to move up to the next place value, which is 1/10. So each of this is going to be 1/10. Here, big bundle, we have 2/10. So together we have this 2/10 will be 0.2, 0.01, 0.004. When we add them together, we get 0.214. If you look at these numbers, they are, when we change the place value, either 21.4 or 2.14 or 0.214. Notice that digits don't change, 214, because we have two bundles of this 214. The number of toothpicks don't change. It's just because the value of each one changes. That's why we get different numbers. And the place decimal point is moved. When the value of the toothpick becomes smaller, the number that represents also becomes smaller. So we move the decimal point to the left. But you could make then any value you want, and then you can use the same drawing to represent different numbers. So when we look at this drawing, it could represent 21.4. So this drawing, all these toothpicks together, it could represent 21.4. It could also represent 2.14, or it could represent 0.214. Whichever it is depends on the value of one single toothpick. As I did before, in the first one, I did actually, if I make each toothpick represent 1, this actually represents 214, a whole number. All right, so that's how you can, by the way, make sure it asks you to list at least 3 decimals. So you will have to pick 3 different values for the toothpick, one toothpick.